Hello everybody, this is Uoth. I'm shooting this video in response to all the videos out there on YouTube that that are about martial law and the New World Order, and 2012 marks the end of the the world, and it's really crazy. It's really crazy. But if you really want to know what is the true one world order and the true one world religion that is a threat to all humanity in this world, you need to read this book. This book right here explains it all. The Malleus Maleficarum of Heinrich Kramer and James Springer, and it's translated by Montague Summers. Now this is the actual legal documentation that's been translated in regards to the process of trying heretics, heresies, witches, pagans, those just peasant folk that that didn't believe in the Christian religion, that didn't believe in their Christ. But it's not so much that. It's not so much the religion. At one point in time in history, pagans and Christians lived happily, in peace with one another. And it wasn't until the hierarchy of the church, of the Christian church at that time, when having stuff started coming down on it. Because it was mostly about politics. It's not so much about religion, it's about politics. But the thing about it is, with Christianity, it's a political religion. It's canon law has been the law of the land, practically the world, because Christianity almost dominated the whole world. That's its primary endeavors, future endeavors, to become the one world religion and the one world government. The canon law, the church became the government. And then, of course, when the United States of America was discovered and found and was being built up on and established throughout all the years and stuff, Christianity began losing that power. They hate the freedom of thought. They hate individual people being able to express their individuality. They hate anything that is diverse, and freedom of speech, freedom of opinion, freedom of beliefs. They hate it. They hate it. The Christian church back in Rome, it was developed not so much to enlighten people, but to govern them. It was easy to control people having stuff when there was one God and Christ, or whatever, when there was one religion instead of a bunch of different religions and stuff, and trying to keep everybody happy, and which at that point in time in Rome, maybe that was the best thing at that time. But we've outgrown that. Our technology is just beyond belief. We have gotten beyond all that barbaric ego stuff. But the thing about it is the ones that I see that are really complaining about, like Obama, like Alex Jones and Reagan and Savage and all these guys and stuff. These guys are multimillionaires. All right. And they know Obama's going to come down on them. They know that they're gonna be taxed more, and so they just can't sit back and have their cake and ice cream and live tax free anymore. They're going to start getting taxed, and Obama's going to come down on them hard, and they know it. And so they're fighting tooth and nail, and so they're using the good old black book and the book of Revelations, Armageddon. They're using it to rile up people and stuff, and get all these innocent Christians that really don't know better, they're really ignorant of the facts, and they've you know, the whole Bible is nothing but a book of fears anyway to begin with. And so they feed into those fears, and you know, and so there's a lot of Christians out there that scare the hell out of me because I'm pagan, I'm Wiccan, and they considered me as being part of the New Age movement, which is part of the New World Order, etc. You know, and so they're going to be out there wanting to shoot my ass. You know, well, I'm not going to let that happen. You know, so. But anyway, you know, it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be like that whatsoever. You know, there's a lot of Christians out there, like my family, that live and let live. And if we was to continue doing this, you know, 10,000 years from now, you know, our generations in the future, you know, are going to look back, and they're going to see our accomplishments, and they're going to be proud of us, because we're going to be around for another 10,000 years, and our family is going to be around for another 10,000 years. Or, you know, you could be like a lot of these fanatics putting up videos on YouTube, you know, that if President Obama is reelected, then they're going to start a civil war. They're going to do everything they can to take him out, even if it's by force, you know. Well, you know, you guys are, you know, you guys are cowards. That's all I'm saying. You don't have the rational thinking capability to research all this stuff yourself. You're only one-sided. You believe what you're told. You believed all the resources and stuff this one person or this one faction of people having stuff are feeding you. And to me, that's a coward, because you're afraid to do the right thing. You're really afraid to research and, you know, and even go outside the box. Even go outside the box. I'm telling you, if you read this book, then you will see just who is really the one world order and the one world religion. And you're going to see that even for you Christians nowadays that have absorbed diversity, regardless you like it, you know, you want to admit it or not, you would not like to go back to this way of lifestyle. You really wouldn't. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. How religious beliefs and moral ethics in regards to what's right and wrong, what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, how it works its way in. Let me give you an example. Back in 2000, there was a young lady in high school. She was you know, an A student. She was basically like an honored A student. Her behavior, she's never got in trouble. I mean, this young lady, I mean, was like, you know, the mascot of everything that's good within this school, you know, as far as being a good student. She decided that she wanted to express herself a little bit for reasons I don't know why. But she ended up dyeing her hair purple. Well, she got expelled from school, and she wasn't going to be allowed back in school until she dyed her hair back to her natural color. Well, their justification for it and stuff is it's a distraction. You know, she needs to be studying more on her homework, on her schoolwork, whatever, you know, her education. I mean, really, come on. Really, seriously, you know, this is what I'm talking about, you know. In order to have full power and control over your slaves, you have to dictate what they can eat, what they can drink, how they can dress, how they cannot dress, and what they can say and what they can do. And that's exactly what the Christian church does. And so now we're in a world where diversity and stuff is being accepted more, a lot more tolerance for diversity. You see children, you know, our teenagers especially, they're constantly dyeing their hair. My girlfriend's got 2 daughters. They dye their hair, you know, and, you know, she thinks it's cool. You know, they get a little whacked out at times and stuff, and but you know, she lets them have it. She lets them do it because it's something that means something to them. It's something that the colors that they that they dye their hair as an expression of a phase of life that they're going through at that time, and it's really important to them. And that's what she sees in them. She doesn't see it as being, you know, anti-authority. She doesn't see it as being, you know, anti-anything. She sees it as a freedom of expression. So the thing about it is, but, you know, you'll never be allowed to go to a church like that, at least a Mormon church, let alone in slacks, you know. A lady can't wear slacks in the Mormon church. But anyway, the thing about it is if you was to research and you was to really understand the true motivation and the endeavors of the Christian church from the time of its existence was to dominate the world. Was to dominate the world and make the world a one-world religion. And make it a one-world society, a government. And so when you look at, you know, pagans are not out to do that. Wiccans are not out to do that. But, you know, Christianity's not the only one. You have the Islam, you know, Islamic religion and stuff. They would like to dominate the world too as well. So would the Jews. So would Israel. They would love to dominate the world. But they've just never, ever in their, you know, history of existence been able to do that. And as far as like armies and stuff. But the thing about it is we can do this. You know, all these fanatics out there on YouTube and stuff that talk about martial law and that, you know, Obama's going to be selling, giving away the, you know, America's, you know, solitude, you know, and you know, to the United Nations, etc., whatever. You know, the thing about it is we can do, you know, we can have a civil war. We can do that. We can have civil war, and then at the height of our civil, you know, disruption and conflict within our own country, United States of America, we're at our most weakest and vulnerable state at that point in time because the people are separated. And so we're vulnerable to every single outside, you know, force or people and what have you stuff who would like to see us harmed. And so now we're opening ourselves up for something a lot more drastic, a lot more critical, a lot more serious. Even though a civil war is serious just as well. I mean, blood spilt is blood spilt, regardless. But the thing about it is you gotta, you know, you gotta understand that even the United Nations, you know, does anybody really, truthfully, honestly understand that? I mean, they have the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that was modeled off the United States Constitution. That's how impressed with their Constitution they are, you know. We have all the rights that we have now. It's just that individual states are not going to be able to dictate and be able to interpret those constitutional rights differently than another state, so to speak, you know. In other words, if you're allowed to do something in this state or to have something in this state, a constitutional right, they're not going to be able to, you know, if you go to another state, you're not going to be able to be denied those rights. And that's what happens. And what am I talking about? Well, just that. I'm talking about religion, you know. Back in the 50s and stuff, when in 60s and stuff, you know, Demeter versus Latin, I believe it is. You know, Wicca became a religion protected, a legal religion recognized by the United States as being a legal religion. And but the thing about it is it was on a federal level, and it was just within a specific state. Well, other people have to step forward and say, well, I'm Wiccan too, and I want these rights, while they're being denied and discriminated against those rights. And then they have to set precedents in their state. You know, they just don't automatically get those rights. It just doesn't work like that. You know, and that's wrong. That's not fair. You know, if prisoners in Texas are allowed to have religious worship and stuff with an outside volunteer come in who is just a wicked, you know, they may be solitary. You know, they may not belong to an established religious organization, because most pagans are not. They're not an established tax-exempt or tax-free religious establishment. And so all these states are using that as justification for not recognizing them as being true, real religious clergy. So they won't let them into the prisons and what have you stuff to help with prisoners find that spirituality that they're looking for and they're wanting to grasp and involve themselves with, so they can become better people. They discriminated against them and what have you stuff. And, you know, it goes clear back to the Darwin theory of evolution, if everybody knows about that, you know. It was a hanging offense. It was the death penalty for a teacher to teach the science of evolution, the theory of evolution in schools. You could be sentenced to death for that. And that was still a Christian law. And see, that's the problem with Christianity, is they intermingle themselves, they interweave themselves into with government. And even though there's a separation of church and state, it still doesn't make any difference. They do it all behind the closed doors. They do it all behind the curtain. They're sneaky about it. And so they enforce laws, they make laws and enforce laws that's going to express or defend or uphold their religious values. And so everybody's all upset and stuff at Obama because, you know, he's leaving God off the platform. Well, you know, God shouldn't be in government. God should be in our households, our homes. You know, it shouldn't be in schools. You're there to learn an education, not be converted to a particular religion or have to adhere to a particular religion and their creator, whoever it is. You know. But Christians don't see it that way. You see, they've had their cake and their ice creams for so long, they become so ignorant, but yet on one hand, they're such hypocrites, because on one hand, they pretend to be these all self-righteous, loving, spiritual, peaceful people, you know, and some of them really truthfully, you know, like I said, you know, my brothers, my sisters, my family, you know, they live and let live, you know, and some of them do. But there's others and stuff that my gad, you know, they are the biggest hypocrites on the face of the earth. You know, they don't practice what they preach. And most of these that, you know, induce these fear tactics and what have you, stuff like on YouTube and stuff, like I said, they're mostly multi-millionaires. Obama's a threat to them because they know they're going to get hammered with taxes. They see it, they know it. It's going to happen. They see it coming, you know. They're not going to have any more, you know, free tax exempt status and all this stuff, you know what I mean? They're going to have to start paying taxes, and they're going to get hammered pretty good. And so, you know, and all these corruptions, you know, all these corporations and stuff, you know, that are getting free rides and getting bailouts and getting tax exempt status on certain things and stuff, because, you know, the thing about it is they're going to start getting hammered. They're going to get hammered. You know, crooked banks, they're going to start getting hammered really, really bad. And so, you know, it's not just Obama. You know, it could be, you know, it's just that it's nice to know that finally someone stepped up to the plate and is thinking for the people, for the change. So we got a president. I can't believe some of these Republicans. It's all about God. It's all about God. You know, now we got a president and stuff who's really stepping up to the plate and really is working to turn this world, this country, turn this country around for the better, for the people, for its citizens, you know, and for our children and our future generations and stuff. And he's really, you know, and it's all about God. That's the only reason why they don't like him, is because he doesn't bring God up there on the platform in front of the podium and stuff that he speaks in front of. I mean, you know, it's how immature and irrational of an ego is that? You know, but anyway, if you really want to know who the one world order, the one world government, the one world religion is, you need to read this book. Thank you for watching.